Hi everyone, welcome to the Media Podcast. I'm Tony D, back again after many weeks. I was on a podcast a few weeks ago and the host commented that he liked my media podcast, so I thought I'd do more. Plus, I've got lots to talk about. Okay, this one's about the Ukraine. Let's talk about the Ukraine and how the media is handling it. Well, according to most of the Western media and television in America, what you got is a Ukrainian uprising, wonderful people who just want freedom from the nasty, nasty Vladimir Putin, right? Well, it depends on how you look at it. As usual, it's much more complicated than that. First, some facts about the Ukraine. The Ukrainians speak Russian first, then English, then Ukrainian, in that order. So they pretty much identify with Russians, even though, it's pretty much the fault of the Soviet Union that they all speak, most of them speak Russian today. I was listening to the Scott Horton show with Justin Raimondo, and Scott Horton, who is married to a Ukrainian, said that his wife said that people speak Ukrainian only in the sticks. So only like the country bumpkins speak Ukrainian, but in the urban centers you speak Russian. So that says a lot about who most Ukrainians are going to identify with. The other thing they talked about is that the Russian leader of the Ukraine, the guy who got ousted, not that he's any choir boy and not that Putin is either, was elected in a relatively fair election. So if you like democracy, why are you applauding that this guy's been kicked out of his country that he was elected to? Now, that isn't to say that the protesters don't have some grievances that are perfectly valid. They probably do. But the problem is, why is the United States involved with that? Why are we spending our tax dollars in propping up these rebels who have now taken over the Ukrainian government, and now we're treating them like they're running the place? I mean, John Kerry is talking to the interim president or prime minister, whatever they're called over there. And the United States, once again, is foolhardy, pressing the gas pedal and like ready to build an embassy to the all new Ukrainian government. The reality is, the country is split on its identity, what it should be. There should probably be a couple of splits in that country. It's awfully big, but the majority of the people identify with the Russians. So, I mean, if you believe in democracy, you should at least sort of respect that, despite the problems they had. The other big problem, and this is the problem that has not had any coverage that I've seen on TV shows like TV channels like CNN, is that there's a lot of neo-Nazis and Nazis on the rebel side. A lot of them. These groups were always around Russia and the Ukraine, but they're not just a small marginalized force that happens to have similar agendas to the people overthrowing the government. They are a big factor in that side of the Ukrainian uprising, or whatever you want to call it. So why are we sending our U.S. tax dollars to a bunch of neo-Nazis and thugs who are going to overthrow the Ukraine and install, a Western-style democracy? I mean, they had a Western-style democracy. They had a guy they elected. So, it seems to me that this can only blow up in the United States' face to support, the Ukrainians. And now you got Putin going in there. Not going in there yet, but he's got tons and tons of military guys, and the Ukrainian army. What does the Ukrainian army have that they're going to fight a war? The problem is, these protesters have gotten it in their heads that the United States and its European allies are going to back them in a war against the Russians. That's the problem. This happened in '92 during the first Gulf War with George H.W. Bush telling the Kurds to rise up against Saddam? Yeah, we got your back. No, we left. We left and Saddam wiped them out. Didn't wipe them out, but wiped out quite a few of them. You know, you can't give these people false hope. You also can't make all these assumptions that the new government is going to be positively disposed towards the United States, especially if there are a bunch of anti-Semites running around in there influencing the government. You know, look at Libya. What happened in Libya with our embassy, throwing an embassy in the middle of a war zone? Not a great move. So what's next? Is John Kerry going to build an embassy towards the new Ukrainian government before the issue is even settled? I think the United States should just mind its own business, stay the fuck out of the Ukraine, and stop making, you know, threatening gestures towards the Russians, who are going to come in there and, you know, they're going to put that guy back in power. Now, do I agree with that? No. I mean, I think everybody should vote, and maybe they should split the country up into a few pieces, and whatever government you want. But, you know, it's not my country. It doesn't belong to me. I shouldn't even have a say in how the Ukrainians should rule themselves. If they want a civil war, that's their business. If they want to fight against the Russians, that's their business too. If they want to say, you know what, we're just going to go along to get along, that's their business too. Why should the United States spend millions of dollars telling people, yeah, you need freedom, go, you know, trash stores, riot in the streets, and, you know, we'll back you 100%. It's not right. Involving yourself in another person's government is like involving yourself in another person's marriage. That you will never learn all the tiny little nuances of that person's marriage. You will never be able to sort through all the many issues that have developed over the years. The best you can hope for is that the person you've sided with comes out on top. But that's just going to leave the person that you didn't side with extremely angry and bitter. And, you know, that can cut a variety of different ways. Just like this situation in the Ukraine can cut a variety of different ways. This could lead to a world war if you're not careful. So the United States should just back off, let things happen, let the Ukrainians sort it out, stop telling people, hey, we're going to back you or whatever. You know, just say, hey, we'd like to see a vote, we'd like to see it be peaceful, let it all settle down. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. So anyway, that's the Ukraine. It's the cheery media podcast from the Ukraine. And of course, no one in the Western media is really talking about how there's a bunch of Nazis running around the Ukraine. So, as always, do your research, go online, and figure it out for yourself. Thank you.